Welcome to Building the Best You, a destination for you to reimagine what is possible in your life and then create it. Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm your host, Jeanne Collins, and today we're going to be talking about health, everybody. Functional medicine, one of my favorite topics. We have Dr. Nancy Beliveau on the show, and I am so excited to talk to her. Her practice is so cool. She does everything I absolutely love about finding out about root causes to help women heal. And she has an incredible social media presence. Her content is fantastic. I'm going to link it all in the show notes, so make sure you go and follow her and check her out. But Dr. Nancy Beliveau, welcome to the show.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me. I think what you do is amazing as well, because so many people that come to both of us are looking for guidance or answers where they don't like where they are, but they don't know how to get to where they want to be. And we always say that the person's the most intuitive healer and doctor, but I love what you do because you help just take away all the stuff so they can find the way. I think that's beautiful.
Thank you. Yes, I am blessed to get to do this as part of my job. It is really wonderful. And I am so passionate about all the things that you do. So I love having guests on like you because I think there is so much out there to help women outside of conventional medicine. And exposing women to what exists is the first step, is awareness of what exists. And so I've had a lot of people just say stuff like this just resonates with them and makes them think about their own health and do they really feel as good as they want to? And maybe it's time to do something about that. And once you can feel better in your body, I know personally, it can change everything in your life. Like it is not just one thing. Once your gut feels better, it is life-changing, folks.
It's amazing how much it controls. It really controls our brain health, our hormones, our motivation, drive, focus. So it's amazing when we can connect those dots and see how everything's connected. Even our emotions, right? We think a lot of times that it's just physical, but we don't realize that everything's actually interconnected between our gut, hormones, toxins, so many things.
So many things. And sleep.
Yeah.
Okay. So before we dig like deep in, you have a pretty cool personal story about how you found your way to this type of medicine. Would you mind sharing that? Because I think that also helps people relate to you as a person.
Yeah, I agree. It's not easy to share our personal story. And it took me, I think, about a decade to actually start talking about it. But I'm so glad I did because it created such a sense of connection for other women to feel safe, to open up, and that they're not alone, that they're not crazy. It's not in their head. So, like a lot of women, I had hormone things happening, but didn't know they were hormone things. And I'd go to the OB because I would get missed periods and heavy periods. I remember passing out from a period. I remember vomiting and, sorry to be TMI, but diarrhea all day with migraines from my cycles every month. And guess what the doctor said? That's normal.
You're fine.
You're fine. I'm like,
You're
wait. Fine. And it's like that gaslighting. My mom is the only person that heard me, but she didn't know what to do. And she would listen and be like, yeah, that's normal. I also feel that way every month. So I just thought that was it. Talked to my girlfriends. They had the same problems. And so that happened. But then I was also getting bloated. I was always thin and active. And then in my teens, I started to look pregnant. People would actually walk up to me. People would walk up to me and say, oh, congratulations. Like, what do you do? They thought it was a teen pregnancy, yet I was celibate. So there's no way I could have been pregnant at that age. And I just was gaslighted until it turned into a type of hormonal cancer. And that's when they paid attention to me. And sadly, it's when you wake up and can't walk, like happened to me, and I'm rushed to the ER, when you're diagnosed with a life-threatening cancer, that's when they listen. That's when it's not normal. That's when they can step in. And I was just so tired of the gaslighting, and the firefighter is when they come in. You wouldn't call the firefighter when you burn the toast. Right? So I was burning toast, if you want to say, for years with hormone issues. I mean, it was a little more than burning toast, and it's just ignored. And like, why did you call us? What do you want me to do? Right? Until there's a life-saving procedure or medication, there's nothing they can do sometimes, traditional doctors. And so that's why we have insurance, right? It's for if something crazy, extreme happens with our car or house. But apparently that's how our health is for the most part. Yep. So I discovered it because I'm thankful to my mom. She got on her knees and prayed. And she had a life coach and a writing coach that said to her, who was also faith-based, and said, like, pray about it. Your inner guide knows. God will reveal it to you. And it was when she went to church, someone directed her to a functional homeopathic and naturopathic type doctor. And when it changed my life, I said, I have to do this. And my mom was the only one in my corner.
Oof.
Everyone was like, oh, do regular medicine, like do regular doctor. This is witchcraft. This is not a real doctor. They made fun of me. Guess what? They're all my top referral sources now. They're all people that have worked with me and seen things that other doctors couldn't do. So we're not against doctors or medicine, just to be
Right.
clear.
Yes.
But when you can all be on the team, like kumbaya, like the coexist bumper sticker for like, we all could just work together. I think that's really the key. So most women, when they hear that, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm not alone. That's my fear. And they just tell me it's anxiety. You're not crazy. You're not alone.
Right. Yeah. No, you're not. And the reality is, so many doctors, I've met so many women. I'm 55 years old. I'm in
Yep.
menopause. And it's
Mm-hmm.
amazing once you start talking about perimenopause and menopause and hormone health. It is amazing to me. And I live in a very affluent part of the country right outside of New York City, highly educated, lots of money, lots of resources. And even here, I am blown away by how few women have doctors that support them, how few women know about functional medicine. I was like,
Yep.
oh my goodness, if we don't know about it here, what about the rest of the country? It's mind blowing to me. Can you explain, just if someone's
Yeah,
watching
sure.
and they have no idea, they're like, what is functional medicine? I don't know
Yeah.
what this woman's talking about. Can you explain what functional medicine is? And then also integrative medicine too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great question. I love that you asked that because we get asked that a lot. So, functional medicine is being obsessed with the root cause instead of modern medicine that is taught by big pharma to just mask symptoms with medication. So, for example, if you're anxious and have brain fog and you're tired and can't lose weight and you can't sleep, which is most of the people we work with, and you have an autoimmune condition, instead of just saying, oh, here's some prednisone for the autoimmune condition to suppress it. We don't know why your immune system's doing this. It must be genetic because you can't control genetics. Let's figure out why. We look at your gut, but your hormones play a role, and we could fix that naturally. Integrative medicine is where we're not against doctors. We had someone with chest pain call us. We were like, what are you doing? Like, please call 911. Found out they already went to the ER, had reflux. We're like, okay, we can help with that. But like, come on, people, like, stop. We had one woman who clearly had a very aggressive type of breast cancer, and we did not have her over Zoom because we do work online now with virtual appointments, show her breasts, but you could see from her shirt, one was out to here and one was here. I was like, you need to probably get surgery, like,
Yeah.
let's be real, people. But integrative is like, let's work together because a lot of oncologists refer to us, a lot of physicians refer to us because they want us to work together. Like, hey, we cut out the cancer, but like, let's figure out what caused it. Or, and that's what you guys can do and help her, right? The terrain approach to health, which is
Right.
that you're not your genes. Epigenetic studies reveal that's just a small portion. And let's actually empower people through what you guys do to help them understand what's caused this and how they can do what they can to mitigate or reduce or get rid of it, not just mask it with symptoms. Because most physicians that actually come to us to work with us will not go on the medications that they prescribe every day. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, they're starting to wake up, but it's still not mainstream yet, especially in the middle of the country. You were talking about your area. Well, we find more so in the Northeast, like New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, tri state area, maybe a little Florida, maybe a little California. That's about it. It's like so, the middle of the country is so not as adept. And we work with people all over, especially in the pandemic when we transition to that. And it's unfortunate. And really, I feel for them. I really do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the
Yeah.
beauty of you being able, I think telehealth is becoming more and more popular, which I think is really important because a lot of people don't have access to these resources right where they live. And it's so
Yep.
important that that's not a limiting factor. And there is a lot of what you do. And I would think, honestly, probably all of what you do, especially if you're partnering with other doctors, can be done online.
That's
And
right.
that's beautiful.
That's the part. Like, we're not going to do a pap or a mammo on Zoom. Okay. My mom said, don't show your lady parts on webcams.
Yeah.
Okay. So, like, please don't. Okay. Don't
Yes.
try. I know it's like, oh, it's, encrypted. No, no, no. Don't do that.
Yeah.
You should still see an in person doctor for in person procedures or exams. But at the same time, is that in person doctor trained in root cause approaches and holistic ways to fix it? Or are they the expert in masking symptoms with medications and life-saving meds and procedures, which some people need sometimes? We're not against that, but let's just like all work together. That's the integrative part.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'll just use myself as an example
Hmm.
because I'd never met you until just recently. But my OB, he prescribes my hormone replacement and he prescribes my progesterone. But then my functional medicine doctor, who I see online, prescribes anything else medication wise in addition to, supplements and
Right.
diet. And
Right.
she manages all the testing and
Yeah.
she looks at it from a much more holistic perspective. But I do see my OB, once a year, and he does prescribe some of the stuff. And I just saw him. And the whole reason why I expanded outside of him is I went to him and I said, and he's like, "How you doing?" He calls, he's like, "How you doing?" And I told him the symptoms I was having. And he was like, "Huh, that's normal. You're fine." And I was like, "I'm not just fine. I can't be
Mm-mm.
fine. I need to go to
No.
sleep every day at 3 o'clock. And I have gained 10 pounds that I cannot lose around my midsection. And I am exhausted when I wake up. This cannot be fine. I'm not okay. And I have zero sex drive. Like, I am not okay accepting that this is fine. It's not fine.
It's
And
not fine.
it's really not. But women have to advocate for themselves. And there are resources and people out there like you that are there to be their champions in their corner, educating them, helping them. But you have to take that first step of being curious.
I think that's in line with what I was saying when I was growing up, right? You're fine. Everything's normal. Well, who determines normal?
Yeah.
To a degree, big pharma, because Rockefeller's tried to make medicine more scientific, and we're not against this. I'm all about studies. At the same time, we're taking P equals 0.05 normative curves, which is just averaging everyone in your area. And like the average person going to that OB might be in worse shape than you, most likely. And he's like, "Oh my gosh, you're so good." It's like, well, my dad said, you're the average of the 5 people you hang around. So if you're
Yeah.
fine compared to everyone in his office, you're like an A plus. I would want to be around the people that are optimal, not normal. So I remember when I was in high school, I said, everyone's drinking, doing drugs, having sex. It's normal, dad. What do you think my father said? Not normal in my household. Thank you.
Right.
So you go get some new friends or you go get a new household because that's not
Right.
normal here. So
Right.
that's the same with you. We're not against the OB, but you want to remember that the same way we preach to our children, like pick who you date, who you choose to marry, who you spend your life with, your friends, who you're around. That is just like the doctor. We're not against the regular doctor, but compared to most people walking in there, a lot of women are the best that doctor's seen all day. And that's not what we want. In our practice, we have people that are 70 that feel like they're 50. When they first come to us, they feel like they're 90. But
Yeah.
when we can realize that we're not against the HRT, it's that optimizing it. Because, for example, if you're just looking at a blood test and the doctor's like, "Yeah, no, your level's good," the OB, it's like, well, how it's being metabolized, used, removed, recycled is just as important. It's almost like money. I tell women
Yeah.
hormones are like money. If you're like, "Yeah, I make 100 grand a year," well, that's good. But if you're spending 200 gambling a year, you're not in a good place. So we have to look at not just the blood level of the hormones, which is what standard OBs will do if they even do HRT, but also things like tissue uptake through saliva, reusing, recycling through the stool, the urine metabolism, because it's asking, like, okay, where's the money coming from? Are you stealing, doing drugs, or are you actually having a valid source of income? Are you also, how are you using it? Right? Okay, so you
Yeah.
make this, but how are you using it? And then where is it going? Right? My dad was like that on all our stuff growing up. He knew
Yeah.
if I spent $1 on his credit card, that was for emergencies. That wasn't an emergency. He didn't know
Right.
where that dollar came from, where's it going, and you earned $100. Would you spend it on? Right? So it's the same thing with the hormones. It's not the full picture, which is why you didn't feel optimal. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and it's so true. And I also think what's so fascinating, and I want to make sure I touch on this because I know I
Yeah.
personally had this. You get some of this blood work back from Quest, and it's like we all know there's the red, there's the yellow, there's the green, and it's like
Yeah.
wherever you are, and it's like you're normal on all of these Quest, labs that come
Mm-mm.
back. But yet, what I found was so fascinating about how a functional medicine doctor will look at it is like you might be like 0.01 above the deficit number. So,
Yeah.
the number is normal, but yet it's super low. And then when you take
Yeah.
that number plus one other number that's also super low, it's like, wait a second, your body actually isn't functioning. Like you're not triggering it because it's saying the number's low, but those two things together are low. And then that means that maybe your body isn't processing things like iron, for example, as well as it could be or should be.
It's exactly right. And it's interesting that you say that because I always use my parenting examples because my practice members love those. That's like when my best friend started smoking at 11. I wasn't smoking, but my dad's like, "Ooh, yeah, no, you're not hanging out with her ever again."
Yeah.
Your lab is okay, right? I was okay, but when you're kind of heading in a direction, like you just mentioned, that might not be good, it's like, let's nip that in the bud. Let's be proactive. Let's look at the
Right.
whole picture, not reactive. I also remember when my brother was talking to a girl on the phone, my brother was like straight A student, like valedictorian, and he was like taking naps. My dad's like, is he okay? Like, is he like getting into a bad crowd or something? He's asking me. I'm like, no, he's just talking to a girl on the phone because my room was next door. So I heard. He's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Meaning we got to look at
Yeah.
every little thing our kids were doing, especially at teenage age. And that's how we look at our bodies now. But so many women don't put themselves on the list. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm selfish. I can't. Guilty. It's like, well, are you irritable then around your kids and around your partner, those you love, and snappy? It's like because your hormones are off and you won't put yourself on the list, but you have to suffer. But guess what? Most women initially, when they won't put themselves on the list, they'll take action because of how people around them are also suffering. Because I remember at my wedding, my aunt said to my husband, if mom ain't happy, no one in the house is going to be happy. You make sure, not just do whatever she wants, but like you're there
Yes.
for her. You guys talk, you communicate. You know, you give her her time. Make sure she goes for her walk so she doesn't lose
Yeah.
her mind.
Yeah.
Let
Right.
her
It's
go,
true.
right?
It's
It's not
true.
just for physical health to
Yeah.
exercise. It's for your mental health because we can take a breath instead of breaking. And that's part of healing as well. Remember, it's not just the physical, it's making that time for you so you can then be there for them as well, which I think is really huge.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
whole mind, body, spirit part of it also. And you're right.
Yeah.
So many women, I coach so many people that when you ask why do they not do things for themselves, it's like, well, because all these other things are a priority. And it's like, what if everything else is a priority and you're last on the list? Like, what's going to happen? Eventually you will break. Eventually
That's
you're going to
right.
break. And do you want to break? Do you have to wait until you break?
Because they
In order
do.
to do something? Is it because you have so much stress and anxiety, something physical happens? Is it because you have a mental breakdown? Like, what is it that's going to break? Something will break. We're just not meant to function that way. And we're also not meant to function with the high levels of stress and low level of sleep that most women have. And people don't realize the impact that stress and lack of sleep can have on their whole mind body connection. And also, quite frankly, their happiness because they don't even know what it's like to physically feel better or to mentally be clear. They don't even know because they've never had it.
You know what's interesting is I don't know if you've ever seen this, but when I ask a woman, if this was your daughter experiencing these things, or if this was your best friend or sister, what would you tell her to do? She's like, oh my gosh, I would tell her to like put herself on the list. I go, well, why can't you tell yourself that?
True.
And it's like maybe you can do that a little bit. And it's
Yeah,
hard. You know, I'm not going to
it is.
say I've not been there, totally been there and we break, right? I've
Yep.
totally broken down. The thing to remember too is that I don't know about your daughter. I know you have a daughter, but my child, my son, he can know if I'm it's like there's still an umbilical cord connected, but it's not. It's like an energetic cord. He can know if I'm anxious or irritable or tired. He'll just give me a hug. And that means I love it because I feel for him that he feels that. But it's like reminding you, mommy, take a breath. I
Mhm.
love you. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, thank you for just
Yes.
helping me reset my energy. Or I'll stub my
Mhm.
toe. He won't be there. And I'll be like, oh, thank you,
Yep.
universe, for reminding me to
Yep.
just like reset
Slow
myself right
down.
now. Yeah,
Mhm.
because we need that sleep. Talking about libido, that pain, brain fog, weight in the middle, all that won't be fixed if we're not sleeping. We're too tired. That's the common phrase women have when it comes to libido. I'm just too tired. I'm not in the mood. But you put them on a vacation where they're not doing dishes and working and running it all, the household, the class mom, the work, the entrepreneur, the everything, right? They just have to prove they can do everything to everyone. And then they all of a sudden feel better. They're sleeping more on vacation. They're having a better libido. They don't have the brain fog. It's like, well, we don't need to do that. That's not real life. But could we
Right.
get a little of that? Because one of my naturopath friends, she said to me, I remember in my 20s, I knew her. We were both in school, and she was like, oh, you don't have any time to charge your battery. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, you know how your phone has to do a reset to like update once a week? You have to just not use it.
Yeah.
You don't have a day like that. You don't have any
Yeah.
time like that, actually, even in part of a day. I was like, oh my gosh, you're right.
Mhm.
My life is just like nonstop. And it's like, where do we learn that? Being that from the tri state area as well, high
Yeah.
performing women. And it's like, where does that come from? And it's like, we have to be okay just being because we're recharging and then updating ourselves and our body so we can pour from a cup that's not empty. So I love that
Yeah.
it's empowering what you're
Mhm.
doing by educating women and helping them to
Yeah.
realize that.
It's important. It's important.
Yeah,
And it's also important to realize that most women need help in that process because we aren't naturally going to know how to do that. So we need help and we need resources and we need tools. And sometimes it's a support group. Sometimes it's just, tools of, oh, let me make a suggestion or an accountability buddy. Or you need to be, by the way, like, when's the last time you actually checked how you're doing on vitamin B and vitamin D and
right.
like some of these really basic things that a lot of times as women we don't have. And as you get older, you need more protein, you need more fiber.
You
What
do.
what type of toxins are in your environment? And I know you love to talk about toxins in the environment. And I think bringing that conversation to light for women is really
Yeah.
eye opening. People don't understand how many toxins are in their environment and even how easy it is to make a couple simple changes to improve your environment for you. You don't have to do everything. You don't have to go like off the charts wacko with it. And blessings to everyone who can do that. It's like put the field out there for your electricity that comes into the house and all that stuff, which is like really a lot.
You could move under a tree and eat coconuts, I tell them. Like, but you could also live in modern day society if you'd like. And this is like a realistic middle ground that works
Right.
enough, right? Because it's like
Yeah.
the house. It's never perfectly clean. And then once it is, it gets dirty again. It's like,
Of course.
that's not living
Yeah.
in your house. My grandma was the OCD Italian with the plastic furniture, and you couldn't even,
My,
she had to rake the rug, the shag
oh
rug,
my.
right? And you couldn't even step in it. Like, she was like, oh, I love my grandma so much. She's watching over me in heaven. She's my guardian angel. And she just is laughing now because it's a disease. It's a way of having control, right? It's like this addiction and stuff. But that's not living, right? So we can't do that with our diets because then we lose connection. Think about the blue zones. Those people don't eat perfectly. They don't
Right.
exercise perfectly. They have human connection. They have societies of people that have each other's backs and are there for each other and are in this really tight knit group. That's actually more important connection than just what you're eating and drinking. I'm not saying I eat junk food, but
Right.
I tell people, look at, for example, my family. I know I have this French last name from my husband, but my family, they're from Italy. And some of the blue zones in Italy, they just have their elderly 98 years old in the house with them, walking to church, making pasta from scratch, seeing the grandkids versus, like being in a home. And I'm not saying you can't go to a home. These sometimes it can be hard, taking care of
Yeah.
someone and you need that help. But it's just so interesting how they don't have dementia or as many of the diseases or medications we have. It's just so incredible to see the importance of making it real and
Yeah.
livable, but also connection. It's not always what you think with just, eating perfectly. That's not really
Yeah.
the answer.
It's
Yeah.
not, and perfect is not attainable. It's just like any
Mm-mm.
diet or any exercise. That's why most people never stick to a diet. They never stick to an exercise routine. That's why they join the gym in January and by March they're not going to the gym. It is a lifestyle of small changes. So before we move off the environment really quickly, what's the like if someone's watching this and they're like, "Okay, what are one or two things I can do to reduce my toxic load in my environment?" What are the most common things you tell your clients to do?
Yeah. I would say there's two top things. One is if you can't pronounce it, you don't know what it is, I would recommend as a safety rule, you don't eat it or put it on your skin because people think, oh my gosh, I'm not eating this lotion. It's just going on my skin. It doesn't go in. Well, the birth control patch, the nicotine patch, pain patches go in. So
Right.
it goes in. Sweat
Yeah.
comes out. We know that. Sweat comes out. So things go in. It's a sponge. So
Yeah.
that's the first thing. The next thing is to make sure you're prioritizing yourself because when we're stressed, not sleeping, anxious, angry, fearful, our immune system's suppressed. And it's one of those things that actually is the army that defends us against toxins and removes them or fights those cancers or metabolizes those hormones so that they don't build up and then we feel crappy yet our levels look good on blood work. So I'd say the two things are one, if you can't pronounce it in your food or you're going to put it on your skin or you're going to spray it on your sweater. We had someone the other day, it's like, she came up so high in her test for volatile organic compounds. And you think, oh, it has the word organic in it. No, that means organic chemistry. It means it's a chemical. I was like, oh my gosh, you say you don't use any fragrance. She's like, oh, I sprayed on my sweater. I was like, oh my gosh, that's why you're getting headaches and your lungs are showing these issues. This is something like inhaling cigarette smoke. It sounds crazy, but it's up there. And then really just like I said, prioritizing you time, because I used to think like a lot of entrepreneurs, I was taught sleep is for suckers. I was raised, and I love my parents. They're from the Manhattan area. So, very fast paced. So Jersey's like super slow for them. And I love them so much as achievers, but that is not serving us. Women especially need 9 to 10 hours of sleep or rest. My child woke me up at 4:30 a.m. I was supposed to wake up at 7 without an alarm. I couldn't go back to sleep. I'm going to be real with you guys. But I rested. I meditated. I just breathed. I laid on my PEMF mat because we just do. And then we're running on empty and the car won't start. So I think those are my top 2 things that I think are not too hard. And it doesn't mean I never eat something that I can't pronounce and I'm on a vacation and I ask at the restaurant, what is in this? I don't do that. I think you got to remember to have fun.
Yeah.
But I think if you, as a rule of thumb, I say the 80-20 rule, 80% of the time you strive to do that. Those 2 things right there are really huge.
Yes, I agree. Those are
Yeah.
game changers. Yes. And I'm sure there are people who are listening who are like, 9 hours of sleep? Is she crazy?
Our relatives got 12 before electricity. We had
Yeah.
12. And
Yeah.
then I just read a quote this morning from Edison. He got 10 hours of sleep and then he took a nap. And I'm not saying you need to take a nap. I'm not saying take a nap or not take a nap. I think if you need one, okay, maybe 20 minutes. I'm not saying you need to take one per se. But I think the key is like, once again, looking at our Italian relatives, 2 to 4 p.m., sometimes 12 to 6, they're not working. They're like
Right.
having lunch with their families, resting, cooking, chilling out, even if you don't sleep. And I think the key is we just go, go, go. And that's part of why we have the worst health. It's not just the food system and the chemicals and all those things, which is a huge part. It's also the toxicity of negative emotions and energies and not clearing that out and just not having that rest is also toxic
Exactly.
and inflammatory. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Not having the pause. It's
Mhm.
so, you have to be able to pause. I tell my clients all the time, I'm like, find
Yeah.
15 minutes 4 times a day, just 15 minutes 4 times a
Yes.
day.
Oh, that's
That's
huge.
it.
I love that.
Whether you sit in a chair and you breathe, you sit in a chair, you look at nature, you go for a walk outside, something, remove yourself from your computer, your device, your phone, your stuff, just 15 minutes to just breathe. Eyes open, eyes closed. It doesn't matter. Standing, sitting, lying down does not matter. If you can do that 15 minutes 4 times a day, it is life
I'm
changing.
going to do
Like,
that. I
it's
tell
life
my
changing.
staff like 5 minutes per hour because,
Yeah.
we've grown and expanded in this pandemic. And as we've grown, remember, you grow through what you go through and you're taking to
Yeah.
new heights, new challenges, all this stuff. And one thing I've told them is take a breath before you
Yeah.
break. Guys, don't just plow through at your computer. Every hour, stand up, take a walk, 15 minutes, like 5 minutes. And I started meditating 3 times a day. I was doing it morning and night, even for just 5 or 10 minutes, just listening to something because I can't always shut my mind easily by myself. And I started adding in a third, and even if it was a minute, but I'm gonna go for 15. I like that. Hey, I'm getting
Yeah.
tips today
It's
too. You thought I was
good.
here to give tips. You're giving
There
me
you
tips. I
go.
like it.
It is. 15 is good. Well, and people don't even think about it. It's like, okay, if you have to go, and this is happens to so many people, right? You're
Yeah.
you're a mom. You have to go pick up your kid at something, right? You're there 10 minutes early. What do most of us do? Most of us grab our phone and we get on our phone. It's like, no. Instead of that, how about you just sit in silence? Just sit in silence, meditate. Or get out, walk around the parking lot. My nutritionist does this all the time. She records videos of her walking around the parking lot while she's waiting to pick up her daughter at dance. And she'll be like, it's just 10 or 15 minutes, but you know what? Just move. Leave your phone in the car and just move for 10 minutes while you're waiting for your kid.
I
But
love
most of
that.
us, our natural instinct
No,
is,
we
I
just
got here
sit.
10 or 15 minutes. I'm going to sit here on my phone the entire time. And that's how you sneak it in.
You sneak it
Yeah.
in because how many times we like, oh, I didn't have time or I didn't have energy
Yeah.
to work out. But we could easily just get in 10 minutes. I know a nutritionist told me when I was in high school to park far away and then walk. I actually do that. Now that you said that with my son's school, I forgot. The beginning of the school year, the pickup line is like from here to China. It's just like the longest line for the first week. I don't know any moms that know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
And I purposely I park a couple blocks away where there's no cars, traffic, and then I just walk. And it's such a
Yep.
peaceful experience for him as well. Because then you
Yes.
just get in a car right after you're sitting in a line. And it gives him the opportunity to decompress. So I think it's great that you said that, because I think if we could just squeeze in those little pockets. Also, I like sipping tea. This may sound weird or crazy to people because I used to drink so much coffee to just push through. And I don't drink coffee anymore, but the tea helps because it's slow.
Mhm.
You just have to take little sips. And my
Yep.
husband's like, "Oh my gosh, your tea is so hot." I'm like, "Well, that's on purpose." Good. I know. Cheers.
I have
Because
my tea. Here we
I
are.
love
Yep.
that. I love that
Uh-huh.
because you just take sips and it just slows you down. You take a
Duh.
breath. We're not just like inhaling.
Mhm.
We're
Yeah.
pausing. So that's
We're
beautiful.
pausing. It's finding the
Yeah.
rituals in that.
I love
All right.
that.
So I'm curious, what is, if there is a number one or number two reason why people come to you? Is there some like a repeated pattern, health pattern that you see that gets people on your calendar?
Yeah, the top symptom, actually, we track all these metrics in our practice members, the outcomes as well. The top reason someone will actually move forward to work with us is brain fog and fatigue, not the belly fat. The husband, I'm just going to be real, wants better libido. I'm
Yeah.
just being real. The woman does too, but it's like a need for them. It's like every day they want to go, a
Yeah.
normal husband, if you will.
Right.
But for the women, they want their wife to be better libido if they come onto the call to be there for support. But the fatigue and brain fog are so big. While
Mm.
there's hormone, gut, autoimmune issues, toxins, a lot of that. The biggest thing I'd say is hormone and gut issues contributing to the brain fog and fatigue. The thyroid being off, your TSH could be the only thing tested by Quest because that's often the only thing they'll cover. That is supposed to be between 1.8 and 2.2 in the TSH, and it's usually like zero point 0.5 to 4.5. I say, imagine you had 50 cents or $4.50. That is a big range to go to a store. You can actually get somewhere, right, with $4.50. So I tell women that's a huge range for your thyroid. So the optimal range is important. And looking at all the thyroid, but also the other hormones, like the gut controls the brain and the fatigue, but also controls the development of autoimmunity. And then hormones like testosterone play a role in brain clarity. And all of these things we see are usually really off and overlooked. Brain fog and fatigue, other than looking for anemia, for example, and maybe a couple other things, they're usually overlooked. You talked about vitamin D, you talked about B. I really want to just comment on D because this is kind of funny. We had someone that actually saw my friend who's a nurse practitioner, and she sends us a lot of people because she knows what she does, but doesn't do what we do. And she sent us someone that we both grew up with, which is so funny because we all grew up together. And he was saying to me, "Do you believe she tested me for D and my insurance won't cover it?" I was like, "Stop." He's like, "No, I had to pay like hundreds of dollars. They don't think vitamin D is vital." I go, "Oh my gosh." And his D was off. It was like 23, which
Mhm.
according to them is not that bad. To me, that's deadly. I like it to be 60 to 80. Some people are even a little higher. And so it's just crazy how we're letting insurance companies that are often manipulated by sometimes big pharma and profits over people. It's like well, they're determining my health. It's almost like my house when it was leaking. My insurance company was like, "No, we won't cover that because raccoons laying a nest isn't
Yeah.
covered, but a storm is." And I'm like, "Oh, so I'm just not going to fix my roof and let like it
Right.
collapse?" So it's just like, why are we letting insurance dictate what our health is? Do they really know? Or do they
Yeah.
really want to make the most money? Because that's kind of where we're going is that's more and more premiums and copays and it keeps going up but our health's going down. So it's like, are
Right.
they really the best determinants of our health? Or we are, just like at school. Oh, it's normal to do drugs, have sex, and the teachers turn their shoulder to stuff. That doesn't mean it's okay, right? It's like we have to parent, but we have to also parent ourselves that we know, this isn't right when we look at that.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it is mind blowing. And I will say personally, from having done a bunch of testing with my functional medicine doctor, it's two things to tell people
Yeah.
this.
Mhm.
One, it is incredibly empowering and eye opening to do a deeper dive into how your body is working and functioning. And ChatGPT can also be helpful because there's a lot of terms on there. There's a lot of things that don't make sense. And a functional medicine doctor can help you understand what it all means and how it all works together. You don't have to become an expert, but it's really good to understand. So it's incredibly eye opening. It's also a little scary. And I'm curious if some of your clients get a little
Oh, yeah.
freaked out because as you start to peel back the onion, you're like, oh, this is going on with my
Yeah.
body. Does
Yeah,
that
they're
happen a
totally
lot
freaked
to
out. Oh,
you?
all the
Yeah.
time. Yeah, I always
Okay.
open
Yeah.
the lab review, and the practitioners we have say the same thing. Okay, now there's nothing life threatening
Right.
right
Yeah.
now. We open
Right.
with that because they freak out because there's this anxiety and white
Yeah.
coat syndrome around the labs. Like, oh my gosh, what are they going to find? The other thing we see is the skepticism. Oh my gosh, all these doctors and specialists looked at me and can't find anything. Are you going to be able to? I say, we look like my mom looked when I couldn't find something as a child. Because guess what? Now that I'm a mom, I can find everything. This morning, my
Of
son
course.
couldn't find his Pokemon card. And I looked and I found it in 2 seconds because I know where to look and I
Yeah.
don't stop looking till I find it. So a lot of functional medicine practitioners will know where to look. They
Yeah.
don't stop looking till they find it. And
Mhm.
they're going to look more thoroughly. The way a mom looks is what I tell our practice members because she thinks outside the box. She knows where to look and she's not going to stop looking. So my son had 9 pairs of the same shoe, one shoe though, just one, because he was the kid that lost one sock or one shoe growing up. You know, those babies that just like don't ever have the other sock. He was that kid, but I could always find it. And so could my mom. When she would watch him, she'd tear apart the car, look underneath. So yeah, they think it's funny when I give that example, but I think if you could remember that, that really helps with their skepticism or if you're concerned that, yeah, it's not life threatening today. We were able to find actually something in someone's microbiome that was linked to the development of Parkinson's. And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you found this 10 years before I would see it in a symptom.
Yes.
That's my parents. Like, let's just not hang out with the smoker kid. Let's not wait till you're a smoker and in drug rehab pregnant. Let's go ahead. They'd say these things, and I thought they were crazy. But at 21, I thanked them. I'm like, hey, you're never going to believe who's in drug rehab pregnant. When I was 11, you were right. So it's like we could actually be proactive and not reactive. And that's what we tell our practice members. Yes, you're dealing with symptoms because you've been taught, brainwashed to take action once it's bad enough, which is symptoms. But let's do it now when there's symptoms. Then let's stay on track before there's symptoms, right? Before there's a problem. So I think that's really important to remember when we're looking at the more in-depth analysis as well.
Definitely, for sure.
Yeah.
And I will
Yeah.
also say from personal experience, the world, the internet and ChatGPT and the world has so much information, but sometimes that's a bad thing because it's like, okay, I'm going to go take this latest vitamin cocktail, or I got served this ad on Instagram and there's this new vitamin that I can buy online and it's going to totally help my libido and my hormone health. But yet you have no idea how that thing is actually interacting with other things. And so, I know I personally found having someone who's a professional to go to who can tell me, okay, this is actually when you take your vitamin D in the daytime. Like,
Mhm.
not only how much do you take, but how do you take it? And then how do you take the other vitamins? Because everything has to interact together. And there is a more perfect way for all those supplements and things to interact, and like when you should take your vitamins, when you should take your minerals, when, if you're on prescriptions, when you should take those prescriptions. If you're going to fast, how do you fill your medications within that, or
Mhm.
your vitamins or your nutrients? And I just found it super empowering
Yeah.
just to even have someone to ask who is aware of how
Yeah.
all of those things work.
I have a fun example, Jeanne. I know that you're getting these parenting ones, but I'm just going to give one more
Yeah.
because I think it's really relevant to what you just said. I tell our practice members, you know how when a baby's crying and love my husband dearly, he's such a great dad, but when the baby cried, he thought that he needed to just have something put in his mouth to make him stop crying, right? It's coming from here. Let's just like shove something in there, whether it's us breastfeeding, whether it's you or the binky or something. And then you just start crying again or spit up. And that breast milk's like gold. I mean, I took 45 minutes to pump that. If I'm not feeding him directly because I'm, working,
Right.
oh my gosh, I would just wasted that gold. I'd rather waste my gold than that.
Yes.
And I said, you can't just shove another thing down your throat. When you see the ad for this, ad for that, and you think it's harmless. We had a woman that you have to find the root cause, is what I was going to say, actually, of why the baby's crying. Why is your body crying out, right? Not just, oh, this helps nausea. Let me just take it. It's like, but this helps brain fog. Let me take that. Let me try this. It's like, that's my husband. Just love him. He's now he doesn't do this kind of stuff. This is his first time dad, right? Never held a baby before. He's just like, shove something down his throat. I'm like, we got to actually find why he's crying. He's tired. He just ate, right? Or he has to burp. Or this time he has to let out a little baby fart, like
Yes.
it doesn't come out that way. But the other piece that's important, you say the ingredients and when we had a woman that she woke up in a pool of blood. And that I got the chills because I'll never forget it. And her name was Joan. And she doesn't mind I say that because she's done all these testimonials for us. Joan, we called her the prettier Joan Rivers. And Joan was 91 when she came to me. She walked in, I thought she was not a day over 68. And this is when we were in person. Now we're all virtual. And she just was one of those people that I didn't even believe her age. She's like, yeah, I date men that are 20 years younger than me. And I'm thinking she's 70, dating 50. She's 90. And so I'm like, oh, so why are you here? You're doing pretty good, Jeanne. You're above the
Yeah.
85 average life expectancy. She goes, well, I want to keep up with the men I date. But she bought something online that was not what it said it was. She walked in a pool of blood. Joan never missed an appointment, Jeanne. She missed an appointment. You know when you have that gut instinct, something's wrong? I was like, something is wrong. And she lived by herself. We sent the police to her house. They said she's at the hospital. And I said, you guys got to be careful with what you just buy online because you don't want to just buy like some cheap thing. You want to have, like you said, a professional and make sure it's safe. Just like I compare it to parenting and drugs. Don't just take something someone hands you. You need
Right.
to know, right, a little more about it. So I think that's helpful, what you said, to have that professional because
It
then you could
is.
be effective. Think, oh, it won't
Yeah.
hurt me, but it won't help you. If you don't get
Right.
better, like what are we
Right.
doing
And
now?
how is
So,
it going to interact with everything else? And also, a lot of the supplement industry is not regulated either.
correct.
And it's like, and not all brands are created equal. Like, no offense to those brands, because there are good ones, but there are also terrible ones that have lots of other things in them and lots of other toxic things, metals and all kinds of stuff, and cellulose. And I have celiac disease. Like, they put gluten in freaking everything. You wouldn't even think, why is there gluten in Twizzlers? There is. It's like you just don't even know some of the stuff that's in the things in our society. So,
Yeah.
all right, before we run out of time, I have two quick questions for you because I know you have to go and you have a meeting. So, two quick questions. One, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you think is important that we have to cover that we didn't get out?
I would just say that I believe that knowledge is power and that every woman deserves to have the knowledge, which is empowering, of what's going on in your body, how it works. And so we do, you mentioned this, a lot of free content to make sure we see you. You're not crazy. You're not alone. And then we do a weekly master class where I spend an hour with women live for free from the public. We usually get a couple hundred people a week, sometimes 1,000, that come on and I just answer your questions. I teach you some basics of what you need to know for free because I didn't know. And I was hopeless and helpless. And if you feel like that, even if it's not me, ask for help. Even if it's not us, there are resources out there and we see you, we hear you, we care about you, and I want you to know you're not alone. So I hope people can feel my heart that you're not having this in your head and it's very real and you are the best doctor. So when people are telling you it's anxiety or it's normal, it's not optimal, it's not normal, and it's not okay. So just feel like you're not alone and I want you to know we see you.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's true.
Yeah.
You're definitely not alone, and there are resources. And I will make sure we put the links to your website in the show notes so people can go. And I've seen that you do have your free seminars, which is a beautiful gift that you give of your time and your wisdom. So thank you for that. Okay, before we go, one quick book recommendation. I love to ask my
Yes.
guests to recommend a book that has impacted them personally or
Yeah.
professionally. What book would you like to recommend people read?
I'm going to recommend The Surrender Experiment by Michael
Mm.
Singer.
Yep.
I just love that as a type A achiever and control freak, I have learned to just do, control, do it yourself. And I've realized that the more I could surrender, the more I can approach life with open hands instead of gripping things so tight that they're suffocated. And a lot of times, if you close yourself off to having it be your way, you can't be in tune with higher power, higher intelligence, and source and creator's infinite intelligence, which is so much greater than where you can ask or imagine. So that would be my best recommendation. Even though I wasn't raised to meditate or Buddhist or whatever he is, I was
Yeah.
raised Christian, but I still believe that that book is so amazing that it's a short, quick, easy read if you're not a reader. It's like a page per chapter. And it just really shows you how you can just surrender and trust and everything works out.
It
And that's
does.
the thing that I think is good to remember.
It is good to remember, especially when women are struggling and they don't feel good. It is good to have a little peace of mind that it will work out. You might have to work to get it to work out, and you might have to really become the CEO of your own health. I think that
Yeah.
is so, so, so important. We have to be the CEOs of our own health, but there
Yeah.
is help out there. So I thank you so much, Dr. Beliveau,
Thank
for coming
you.
on the show, sharing
Thank
your
you.
wisdom. We're going to link
Thank
everything. I'm
you.
excited to share you on Instagram and to collaborate with you to bring some awareness. I
Got
appreciate
it.
your time and just your
Thank you.
passion for helping women. So thank you. And I hope you have a beautiful day.
Thank you. I hope you do too. And you've been such a blessing. I'm so glad that we've connected and that we can together help be the change and inspire the change that women deserve. So thank you so much.
Exactly. All right, great. Have a beautiful day.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of Building the Best You. If you are ready to take a deeper dive into transforming your life, check out my Empowerment Fundamentals course on my website, houseofjermar.com. Thank you, and I will see you next week with another inspiring guest.